My 25 female. Parents divorced when I was 15, and my mother decided to move to another country. I didn't follow her because I already had a life here. She moved back 2 years ago with my stepmom. I visit my mom quite often, but ever since moving to Paris and marrying my stepmom, she has changed a lot. She's now hyper-minimalist, which, okay, her choice. But every time I visit her, she tries to force that life on me. She only owns like 5 changes of clothes, 2 pair of shoes, barely any furniture, 3 cups. It was 2, but since I visit every Friday through Sunday, my mom bought one for me, and this pissed off my stepmother. 3 plates, 3 spoons, etc., etc. My stepmom was already like this, and my mom found the lifestyle adorable and joined. My stepmom hates that I drive a car and that I have too many clothes. Anyway, I was a victim of fraud and had my accounts left dry. I had to leave my apartment because I had no way to keep paying it until I saved enough again. My dad's not around anymore, so I asked my mom if I could stay with them, and I said that the max I could pay was $200 to $400. She invited me rent-free. I wasn't comfortable with this, so we made a deal where it said I was going to live there for 4 months, rent-free, and then I was going to move out. I've been here for just 4 days, and yesterday when I came back from work, I found my room almost completely empty. I quickly ran to my mom and stepmom and asked what happened. My mom said that I had too much stuff, and that's not how they live, so they left just the essentials and donated the rest. My stepmother said that they did me a favor, because I had so many things it looked like my soul was trapped in this world. And I said that they had no right and ran to my room panicking. My mom followed me, but I was so mad. She tried to talk, and since I had something like that recently happen to me, I went to my boyfriend's chat and hit the audio button. I asked my mom to repeat what they did, and she did it. I said that I had a recording on her admitting she stole my things and gave it away with her wife, and that if she didn't retrieve them in the following days or compensated me for it, I was going to call the police on them. My stepmom called me an a-hole. They did retrieve most of my things this morning, but most of my clothes were gone, so my mom said we could shop this weekend, and she'll pay for everything. She was so embarrassed and regretful, and said sorry a bunch of times because she realized she crossed a boundary. She said my stepmother began doing it and she only joined. My stepmother went to sleep somewhere else because she tried to kick me out and my mom didn't let her. This house is my mom's. So, am I the a-hole? Maybe I took it too far because they did let me live here rent-free. After all, I don't even know if the audio would have been proof enough to press charges. Not the a-hole. They stole from you plain and simple. You offered to pay rent. They refused. That doesn't give them the right to force their beliefs on you. Not the a-hole. It seems like threatening to call the police jarred your mother into finally realizing how wrong it was to get rid of your things behind your back. Good for you. Not the a-hole. Just because they live a lifestyle doesn't mean you have to as well. Forcing you into it was a major a-hole move. They should have just closed your door if they thought it was soul-sucking. Not their stuff, then hands off. Even though your mom kind of came around, she's an a-hole, but your stepmom is an even bigger one. My 92-year-old grandfather has a cabin in the mountains that is owned in trust equally between my mother and her 3 brothers. It remains empty about 11 months a year, but is available for any family to go visit if they want, like during summer vacation, for example. All 4 siblings split the costs of the house, including property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. There is no mortgage. One uncle, who I'll call Uncle Stingy, has taken on the role of the caretaker, since he uses the cabin the most. He goes up a week in the spring and a week in the fall, and rents it out to his friends, and pockets the money, and takes care of any regular caretaking that needs to be done. Due to the owner of the house I've been renting for 11 years deciding to sell it, I find myself without a home, and I've decided to take this opportunity to inject some change into my life. I recognize that I have tremendous privilege to have access to an empty home during this time, and I decided to go stay there for the summer while I work on a novel. I checked in with Uncle Stingy, and he said he'd be up there until June 2nd, so I told him I'd come in that night. I told him to let me know what the utilities costs were while I was up there, and I'd be happy to pay those, as well as any percentage of maintenance or anything relevant while I'm there. He said okay, and I began to plan my trip. Out of the blue today, I get a call from him, and he says he realized I wanted to stay up there a bit longer than he expected. A month is fine. You got to get back on your feet. But any longer than that, and I could be charging $130 a night for this as an Airbnb. You'd have to pay someone to manage it locally in that case too, I said. None of my family is local to the cabin, the closest being 8 hours away. And if you have someone who wants to rent it while I'm up there, just let me know. I'll leave for that period and come back when they're gone. I'm just saying this house could be getting $3,000 a month in rental fees, so nobody should just be living up there for free enjoying this beautiful cabin in the mountains. He ended the conversation with telling me that if I wanted to stay longer than a month, he'd have to charge me. I just ignored him and hung up. I'm planning on staying up there and occupying the empty home for 1 to 2 months. If he tries to insist I pay him anything, beyond the cost of normal bills and maintenance, I'll just ignore him. My mother, and directly me as her son, have equal right and access to this cabin. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay my uncle to rent a cabin he doesn't own or have the right to charge rent? Edited to add. My mother suggested I stay there initially. She's also very ill, so I've been trying to do this without bothering her. Additionally, the rule for the last 15 years for this cabin has been any family can stay there as long as they want. It's open to everyone. Cousins and kids and grandkids have all just announced they're going up to the cabin. It's not, and has never been, an ask permission type of situation. Not the a-hole. It's shared between 4 people. If anything, it's him that's the a-hole for pocketing all the rent money and not dividing it out between the 4 owners. Not the a-hole. I'd tell him, since your guests only pay rent to you and none of the 3 other owners see a penny of it, and I'm my mother's guest, not yours, I'll let my mother decide if and how much rent she feels is appropriate, and I'll pay it directly to her. Not the a-hole. If the property is shared between 4 people, then 4 people should agree on charging you rent, and 4 people should pocket money, not just your uncle. I'd recommend clearing the whole mess up now, rather than waiting until it blows up once you've been there over a month. I, 34 male, am married with 2 kids, 3 female and 3 female. And over the past year, my sister, Amy, 19 female, has been living with me and my wife, Leah, 36 female, because of the virus. My parents live in another state, and the only reason they felt comfortable with Amy going to college out of state was because my wife and I promised to be there for her in case of trouble. After the shutdown, Amy moved in with us and eventually decided to take some time off because she felt too stressed out. Initially, Leah seemed fine with that because Amy got a job and started helping around the house. Examples: doing all the laundry, cleaning the living room, doing the grocery shopping, paying for the groceries, cooking breakfast 4 days a week, cooking dinner 3 days a week, cleaning the kitchen, vacuuming, and babysitting so long as we gave her 48-hour notice. Amy did all of this to show how grateful she was to us, and because she wasn't paying rent. After Amy got a job, I sat down with her and worked out a budgeting system with her so once she went back to school, she could put her money towards college expenses. She rarely buys anything luxurious for herself and asks me to double-check her finances regularly, so I know she's not just blowing it. I thought everything was great until Leah told me that she wanted Amy out. When I inquired why, she at first didn't give a real reason for me to support it, and then I found out that Leah's cousin got a new job near where we lived and needed a place to stay, would offer to pay us rent until they got their own place. Leah feels like Amy has stayed long enough and wants someone who can offer financial contribution. I told her that I didn't support this decision and would not be kicking my baby sister out when she's putting in the work to better herself. I was upset and said that if she wanted Amy out, then she'd have to tell her herself, but warned her that my parents would see her as greedy and not to expect me to defend her. Now Leah isn't talking to me, and after a couple of days, I need to ask, am I the a-hole? Edited to add. Forgot to add, sorry. But yes, I did run Amy paying rent by Leah as a compromise. However, Amy barely makes above minimum wage, and even if she factored in paying rent, it wouldn't be nearly as much as what Leah's cousin is offering. Also, it hasn't been explicitly said, but it looks like Leah's cousin will pay rent, but not help around the house. At most, just clean up after themselves. Not the a-hole. Your sister was not leeching. In fact, she contributed a lot to the household by doing all the chores you listed. It might cost way more to hire someone to do all that for you then your wife's cousin would potentially pay in rent. So, financial argument is sort of invalid. Not the a-hole. Also, make sure she knows that if she kicks out your sister, that you won't allow her cousin to move in. If she tries to argue that this is her house too, then respond, "Exactly. This is our house. Neither of us gets unilateral control over what happens. If you have the right to nix my sister staying here, then I have the right to nix your cousin staying here." Weird opinion here, but no a-holes. You moved your sister in to help her out during school. Now she's no longer in school, but she's working, and definitely doing more than her fair share of caring for kids, cooking, and cleaning, as her version of rent. But still, the point was to help her out. After a year, she should be close to ready to be on her own. But now your wife wants to help out someone in her family. Instead of chores, they are offering to just pay rent. Either way, someone else is still in the house, and there's nothing wrong with your wife wanting to help her family too. I'm not saying kick your sister out if she's not financially secure, but you do her budget, and there should have been an end date in mind for her to have X savings, X for an apartment, etc. But it seems more like you moved her in with no actual plan. Make sure there's a plan with an end date. Show your wife, and if it lines up and your sister is out by X time, then her cousin can move in. If it doesn't, then the cousin can't come. Again, she wants to help her family like you're helping yours. But it's all about the game plan. No reason to turn this into a "how dare you kick out my sister." Soon we'll read Reddit posts from your wife saying, "Husband puts his sister above me and my feelings." So, my dad, 55 male, is the youngest of 3 brothers, the 2 oldest being Uncle Travis, 58 male, and Uncle Bert, 60 male. To put it simply, Uncle Bert is insanely rich. He owns a collection of sports cars, a collection of boats, and a collection of houses across the country. Years ago, he purchased 2 large houses for both his brothers to live in for extremely dirt cheap rent, with the promise they could live there for the rest of their lives, as long as they paid a little rent each month and maintained employment. My dad doesn't live in the house Uncle Bert purchased for him anymore, because Mom and Dad eventually bought their own house. But Uncle Travis still does with his family. My cousin, Leanna, 17 female, has been living there her entire life, and I always assumed she was aware of the arrangement with rich Uncle Bert. But this past weekend I learned otherwise. Leanna was in my bedroom, and she made some snarky comment about how my bedroom is so tiny and cramped compared to her bedroom with a walk-in wardrobe and her own ensuite. I brushed it off initially, but then Leanna said something else about how the size of their basement is larger than the size of our entire house, and the way she said it really bothered me. I also realized from the way she was talking, she didn't know about the rental arrangement between Uncle Travis and rich Uncle Bert. This is where I may be an a-hole. I made a snarky comment back, saying, "Well, at least my parents actually own their house." Leanna asked me what I meant, and I told her the truth, that Uncle Bert was the true owner of their family home, and her parents paid a small amount of rent every month to Uncle Bert. She called me jealous and a liar, and left my bedroom to go sit with our parents in the living room. But apparently, later that night, she asked her parents about it, and it caused massive friction in their household. Leanna was apparently extremely sad and angry because she thought that house was their family home, owned by her parents, and she believed she'd one day inherit it. Her mom called my mom, wanting me to be punished for what I told Leanna. My parents were pretty upset with me because it wasn't my place to tell her anything, and it's not my business. They also think I acted out of spite. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. How can your parents expect you to not assume that she knew? Your parents were pretty open about it. Surely you'd expect her parents to be open about it. Not your fault you caught them in a lie. They should be more honest and open with their kids. Not the a-hole. If it was supposed to be some big family secret, someone should have let you know. Not the a-hole. She needs a reality check, and her parents have been ungrateful to Uncle Bert by not acknowledging him enough in their household. Your cousin, too, has acquired that ungratefulness. And it's never okay to boast about how rich your parents are, even if her parents did own that house. I, 27 female, own an apartment complex near a college town, and it's a pretty nice one. Now, me and my cousin, 27 male, have never gotten along. Growing up, he was always the one to have nice stuff, designer clothes, latest technology, etc. He was the popular jock. I hung out with the openly gay community. We went to the same high school. You get the point. Anyways, he's going to be attending school close to where the apartment complex is. So today I was showing him a potential apartment. It's usually the apartment I use as a guest house for friends or family who are staying in the area. I started going down how much it will cost for him to stay there and mentioning parts of the contract modified for the family discount when he starts getting angry. Apparently, he thought I should let him stay at the apartment for free since I use this place as a guest house anyway. I told him I couldn't do that in this situation because the longest anyone has stayed is a week, not months. He started throwing a fit and bringing up high school drama, stuff like how this is my way of nerd revenge for high school, how I am still so pathetic, etc. Now, I'm not proud, but at that point I snapped and mentioned all the horrible things he did in high school. From the times I had to cover for him when he went out with girls, to letting him use my car to buy protection so his religious parents wouldn't see it on the bank account, etc. Anyway, it led to a huge fight, which resulted in him calling me a lesbian W. Now, I am open about my sexuality, and I've been called a lot of things in my life, but I am no W. I kicked him out of my complex and told him that the deal was off, and if he wanted, he could apply like a regular person, but he wouldn't be treated like family. I should also mention that I know for a fact that my staff would laugh at his application. He has been kicked out of several previous apartments for noise complaints. Well, now family is bombarding me with texts and calls telling me how big of an a-hole I am. So I'm here to ask, am I the a-hole? Edit 1. I should probably mention the deal that I had offered him. The apartment I offered him was one of the nicer ones in my complex. If we're just talking pure numbers, that usually goes for about $7,000 to $8,000. I was going to offer it to him for $500 plus utilities. The apartment would have included all my furniture, all my appliances. I was even going to offer him my gaming consoles and games that I had left there for guests. In total, he would be paying around $1,600 approximately. Now, personally, I think it's a fair deal, more than fair. I know family and business don't mix well. That's why I had a very strict written agreement that he would have to sign. No parties, only 4 people can visit max at a time, etc. What an entitled prick! Not the a-hole. You dodged a bullet with this happening before he moved in. I guarantee he'd never pay the rent, trash the place, and run back to his parents when you eventually have enough to kick his butt out. Of course you're not the a-hole. That cousin is an entitled jerk. Tell your family to mind their own business. It doesn't concern them. No one will treat you like crap and steamroll you quite like family. Not the a-hole in the slightest. I wouldn't rent to him even if he apologized. Just because he is family doesn't mean he gets it for free, and he is an a-hole for even assuming that. Even more so for getting angry about it when you were going to still give him a discount.